Welcome to Business Talk, presented in collaboration with the University of Rio Grande and the Ohio State University South Centers, from the heart of southeastern Ohio at the University of Rio Grande TV studio. Our goals are simple: promote the University of Rio Grande and the Ohio State University South Centers, as well as advocate local small business and their support organizations. More importantly, promote southeastern Ohio as a wonderful place to live, explore, and learn. There are many different ways you can find us. The University of Rio Grande Cable Access Channel 17, live online at blogtalkradio.com, and on YouTube if you are unable to catch our show live. Introducing our co-hosts, Jason Winters, Mike Thompson, Patrick Dengel. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoy the show.
Hey, welcome back to our show. This is the first show in 2014, and it's our great pleasure to bring to us here a radio personality, a radio general manager, a certified individual, which we'll get into in a little bit. But I want to welcome everyone back to our programs. Jason, it's great to see you again. I understand you had
It's good to be seen.
It's good to be seen.
I don't mean to interrupt you. I realize this is the first time back.
Yes. And we have also Mike. We're all enjoying the cool weather that we have out there.
It's brisk.
I think it's going to be nice and sunny very, very soon. And speaking of sun,
I haven't heard anybody say, "Oh, it's brisk and invigorating."
That's because you're hanging around with the wrong people, apparently. So,
which people is it to say that?
Today we are going to feature David Diddle. David Diddle is a certified radio marketing consultant, a CRMC. He's also the general manager of WNTO, Sunny 93.1 in Gallipolis, Ohio. And he's going to talk a number of different aspects of marketing and radio media. Interesting things that I'm always curious about. So welcome, David. It's great to have you on our show.
Thank you. I appreciate being here.
As a person that's always been on the radio, etc., I'm quite sure that you're completely at ease when we ask the real hard questions.
Oh, I'm kind of backwards and shy, so you might have to pull it out of me, but no, I think we'll be fine.
Well, good. I still remember your wife, Tina Mary.
Yes.
I used to listen to her program coming from Portsmouth. Now, this was a number of years ago, coming from Portsmouth over to Jackson. And I finally got to meet her. We were having a shrimp fest, and we were able to bring over some freshwater shrimp for
You notice I didn't eat that shrimp.
Sorry.
Yeah, steak and potatoes, baby. No shrimp on me.
Well, these were freshwater shrimp, but she was.
She was on cloud nine, I'm sure.
I know.
Yeah.
Yes, she was. So, David, tell us about yourself.
Well, I've been in radio probably 17 years now. Started out as a sales rep, moved up to sales manager, moved up to general manager. Got the opportunity to buy a radio station and keep a radio station local here in Gallipolis. Took that opportunity and ran with it. And now we've owned the station for about 7 years now. So we did what they said can't be done and stayed on the air and made it what I feel is a success. If you've stayed in business for 7 years, especially with the economy the way it is anyways, you've done something spectacular, really.
Yeah, this past 7 years haven't been like the boom years for anyone, I don't think.
No, only I will buy a radio station at the end of the boom. At the very end of the boom, I buy a radio station. So, but it's been fun. It's been great. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, but isn't it true that it's just a building with equipment, but it really takes the idea and it takes the spirit and it takes the willingness to make something out of nothing?
Oh, yes. You got to have the desire to do it. And I think anybody who owns a business, they have a unique desire, no matter which business it is. In order to run that business, you have to have a unique desire. You're not getting into it to become a millionaire, typically. There's not a whole lot of businesses out there that create millionaires. We do it, not that I wouldn't love to make $1 million. We do it for a good living, and we're doing exactly what we want to do. And I think in life that's the most important thing. Do what you love to do. And that's what we've been doing.
Now, I've noticed that amongst radio people that you're not in radio for the money necessarily, but
No.
you really like the business, and it attracts, I think, a odd or a interesting mix of personalities.
Oh,
that it
DJs
takes.
are, I've always said, some of the toughest people to manage is DJs.
But they're all eclectic.
Oh, they are. But they're fun. They're a lot of fun to be
Yeah,
around.
right.
Typically, their attitudes are just fly by night, have fun every day. It's a great bunch of people to hang around with all day long if you get the opportunity to.
So
Yeah.
what happens if you have a business in which, let's say, livestock, and you're, what about those people?
Are you calling
that would,
DJs livestock? What's it?
No, but goat
If
owners.
you have livestock now, you're a cold guy.
Yeah. You
Trust me. on
don't
this.
want to be a farmer today. Yeah.
Or yesterday,
it's-
or the day before.
Yeah.
For our listening audience, those that are going to listen to this later on, we had our first major cold snap, in which, in our
Like
particular
20
area,
years or so.
Yeah,
It's been below zero.
been below zero, and I bet you there's going to be a lot of water pipes break before the time is over.
Tell me
with.
about it.
While you were on the phone talking to your wife about your water line break, I also shared that last Wednesday I had one that broke also, so I
Yeah.
feel your pain.
Mm-hmm.
Someone had put a line in an attic to a building that I had, and I had no idea there was a line in the attic. I'd been there 12 years and never had a problem with it. It was wrapped, everything was fine, but this last spell we had, it was cold.
This one we just got through, it broke?
Now, mine actually happened right before that, but it was for the cold spell we had right before.
Oh, okay.
So,
But
yes.
but not to turn lemons into lemonade. Businesses, especially in radio stations, go through similar kinds of things where one day things are going great, the next day.
In all fairness, I didn't see any lemonade come out of my ceiling. How about you in the basement?
No, I'm not drinking any of that.
But you're right. We ebb and flow in business. We have good days and we have bad days, and we just take them as they come and move on. And that's where marketing comes in. Helps us. We were talking about earlier about business plans.
Yes. Yeah. It's I've done this for many years, and one of the things that always kind of get me is I run into people who know what they're doing business-wise. They know how to run their business. I mean, no matter which business it is, if it's a car lot, they understand how to sell cars. They know exactly how that business runs. Whether or not they have any idea how marketing works is another thing. And we were talking that the first thing thrown away is your 5-year plan. You go to the bank asks for a 5-year marketing plan. It's the first thing thrown away. It's, I deal with businesses every day. And I'll ask them, what's your 5-year plan? They can't answer it. What's your 3-year plan? They can't answer it. What's your 1-year plan? And they have a lot of trouble answering that.
How's your 1 week plan?
Yeah, well, quarters. If you ask them, typically they'll
Right.
know what this quarter is going to do. And one of the things that I've done, I think very well, is I think it's our job to educate, so people understand how marketing works, and it does work. And it's worked pretty much the same way since the '60s when it comes to radio. Nothing's really changed, other than whether or not you understand how it works. And once you get that understanding, once you try it and you do it and you track it and you know what's going on and you see that it makes you money, that's the main thing. Most businesses don't want another bill. The last thing they need is another bill coming through the door. They need something that's going to make them money.
So what you're saying is marketing is like investing.
Absolutely, it's an investment. It is not an expense. It's an investment. Now, it can become an expense. If you do marketing and it doesn't work, it's now an expense.
And just choosing wisely for your demographic and your business and everything else is probably one of the major things, isn't it?
It's huge. With our demographic, you're looking at 25 to 56, primarily female. There's a reason why I picked that. We're guys. We don't buy anything. Typically, if we buy anything, you hear from guys all the time, I got to talk to my wife about that. The women these days are making the major purchase decisions. I don't care which division you're looking at, whether it's, look at car sales. Look at commercials for cars. They're pushing women. Why is that? I mean, one of the biggest commercials out right now has a female saying, I don't need a man to buy a car. Why are they doing it? Because females are buying cars. They're more educated, they know exactly what they want, and they go after it when it comes to cars. That's changed completely. 15 years ago, a female wouldn't walk into a place without having a guy with her to buy a car. They will, no matter what it is. I've seen it with hunting supplies. They don't even hunt. And
Who
they check
doesn't hunt?
Well, there are females that hunt, but
Okay.
typically, as a demographic, they're not going to hunt.
Right.
And to purchase these products, ask anybody who owns a store that sells hunting supplies.
Like gun shops.
Gun shops, whatever.
The
They'll
pink,
tell you.
The pink handgun doesn't stay on the shelf very long.
No, it doesn't.
No.
Well, that falls on self-defense at this point. And we can get into that all day long and why we need a handgun these days for self-defense. But and gun dealers have noticed the change in that.
You know, I have seen many business owners. They are inundated with a lot of different media services when they open up the door. You have radio and TV and newspaper. You have coupons and on and on and on. What distinguishes your radio advertisement format with those that are just wanting to make a sale?
Okay, what I want to say first is most of what you said works. It's not that advertising doesn't work. You don't just pick one form of advertising and run with that one form of advertising, expect your business to grow like it should. Your question was radio. What's so great about radio? The great thing with radio is it's one of only two forms of advertising that can give you top of mind awareness. And what that is if, say you have a business that sells cars and you want to, you get to a part where you're in a wreck and now you need a car. You jump from never needing a car, at least for the next 5 years, to automatically buying a car within that next week. Top of mind awareness will be the top 3 companies that you think about to go buy a car. Top of mind awareness is extremely important when you own a business. If you don't have that top of mind awareness, if you're not one of the top 3 companies in your area, then you're not getting the piece of pie that you need. If you can get, and the reason why radio works so well with top of mind awareness, we'll get into how that works a little bit. The insurance companies. When you're in a wreck, the insurance companies started asking you to close your eyes and explain the wreck. And the reason why is because when you hear a wreck, you can describe it better. Because for long-term memory and for your eyesight, it's right behind your ear. Where you remember what you heard is here. Where you remember what you see is clear in the back of your brain. And a wreck happens so quickly that it doesn't have time. So they'll get 5 different stories if they say, what did you see? But if they have you close your eyes and explain the wreck, they'll get 1 or 2 stories. And the reason why is because they can retain what you hear quicker than what you see. I said 1 of 2. TV, broadcast TV, which is different than cable television. Broadcast TV can give you top of mind awareness. It's kind of expensive, but it gives you top of mind awareness. Radio can do the same thing, inexpensive. Instead of $800 a commercial, you're $10 a commercial. There's a big difference there. But as far as Why radio is so great? Top of mind awareness. It's just like whether you heard a song 20 years ago and you can still sing it. Well, you don't know you're remembering it, but you are. One of the issues that we have at the station is we have people call us all the time and say, you got to pull that commercial. What commercial? Let's just say McDonald's. So why? Well, it says this, 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 and this. And I'm getting tired of hearing it. And I'd say, why would I pull it? It just worked. Advertising really doesn't start working until it becomes irritating. And you have to do it consistently. It's how much you do to get that top of mind awareness.
You know, you bring up a good point. I noticed that on TV, I was watching a very old show. I forget the Twilight Zone or something of that nature, and I bought the DVDs. And it was interesting. 30 minutes lasted about 26 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So they had 4 minutes of commercials
In a half an hour, yes.
in a half hour.
Yeah. And that's low.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
Because now a 30-minute show is about 12 to 18 minutes long. You've got you're getting hit by an enormous amount of advertising.
Yes.
Yeah, there's times where I'm watching a show and we get in the commercial break, I forget what I was watching.
Oh, yeah.
It's just been so long since I've seen the show.
Yeah.
Depending on which channel you're watching.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that's cable. Like I've said before, there's a huge difference between cable television and broadcast television. And it's the same thing that's happening in radio right now. One of the main things I get asked is radio still good? Is it still good?
Yeah,
Since
is
you
it-
have
is
all
it
this
viable
stuff going
with
on,
all
is
the
it
web
viable?
and-
Look at broadcast television. And what I mean by that, ABC, CBS, your local television stations. Years ago when cable came out, they said, broadcast television is dead. It's gone. It's all going to go to cable
Or satellite.
or satellite or whatever. Try to buy a commercial on cable at this point. You're paying maybe $6, $8 a commercial. Buy the news on your local television station. It's $800 a spot. What people want is local. They need to have their local. Satellite radio doesn't give you local. Cable television doesn't give you local. And people need to know, for some reason, what happened today.
Isn't that why it's really so important to really know where your demographic is?
Absolutely.
Who, as a business owner, who you're targeting? You know, what is that customer that you really want to reach? They may not be in your specific demographic.
And another
But
thing
that's
you got
what
to
you
think
gotta
about
know.
is the real reason why people are going to buy your product. When you're doing advertising, one of the things I did a while back ago, we still have Corbin and Snyder Furniture, and I've had an enormous amount of training. So I went to this training, and I
And
came
that
back.
jingle is still stuck in my head.
Who had jingles there? But in the training, this guy said, "Give me the real reason why somebody's going to buy a product." Well, I've wrote commercials since then over this, and they always work. And the reason why, I looked at Mike and I said, "Mike, why does people buy mattresses?" He said, "I need you to write a commercial about mattresses." I said, "Fine, tell me the real reason why." And he said coil count and all this stuff. And I said, "No, if I go to buy a mattress, I'm not going to ask you what the coil count is. I don't even know what that is. Mike, that's the way you're selling the mattress. I'm going to change the way you sell your mattress, but I also want you to give me an idea why somebody is going to buy that product." And he told me, because people roll to the middle. So I wrote a commercial. And it says, "We have 6 kids because our bed rolls to commercial. Or our bed rolls to the middle." And I was really worried whether or not I was going to upset women, and it didn't. So he sold an enormous amount of mattresses. And why? Because when they went home and they laid down on their bed and they rolled to the middle, what's the first thing? Top of mind awareness again. What's the first thing they thought of? And that was Corbin Snyder Furniture. That's how advertising works.
Well, that's rather interesting. And that explains why I only had 3 children, because we changed our mattress.
Yeah, you flipped it over.
Yeah.
yeah. That
Now we roll to the.
outside.
So what's the from our house to yours then?
Well, that part is branding. You have to own something. When you write a commercial or you have a company, you should own something. What I mean by that is, if I say pizza and I say cheap, what's the first pizza place you can think of?
Domino's,
Yeah,
Little Caesars.
yeah. There may be a couple, but
Whatever
huge.
those $5 pizzas are.
Yeah. And that's what you remember. They own that. So if you're going to start a pizza place, the last thing you want to do is try to fight that. A few years ago, these two guys come out of college, and they understand this concept. And they say, for goodness sakes, this is food. Nobody owns taste. If I say ingredients, what pizza place do you think about?
Papa John's.
Thank you. Papa John's came out and said, we're going to have the best ingredients there are. You want a tasty pizza? We're going to give you a tasty pizza. It's going to, hey, surprise, surprise, tastes good. What did Domino's do? I think the best marketing ever.
Artisan.
Domino's came out and said, our pizza sucks. Pretty much is what they said.
Oh, I thought.
And we heard from you that our pizzas taste like cardboard, and they said it on the air. Truth in advertising. Did it work? Their sales skyrocketed. They changed what the pizza tastes like, and it skyrocketed. You have to own something in your business.
Yeah, I was thinking back towards the 20 minutes or less.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, they had to get rid of that because delivery drivers were
Speeding
wrecking,
and
trying to get to the house, and they started getting sued.
Right.
Because their delivery drivers kept wrecking. So they had to kind of get rid of that.
That brings up a couple of things. Let's talk a little bit about. Suppose I'm a business person and I purchase some marketing advertisement from your radio station. You had mentioned a little bit ago about the different types. Are there different types in the radio? You know, on what I can choose, or are you just going to blanket the air with my
Oh
advertisement?
no, there's different types. When you buy radio advertising, the number one thing you want to be on is weather.
Is weather.
Yep. You want your company somewhere close to weather. By the way, our weather's sold out.
Huh.
You can't buy our weather. And the great thing with radio is it should go up in price if it's sold out. There are probably 20 different ways. Now, if you have a good marketing person or sales rep for radio, they'll know these different ways. There's a TAP program, a total audience plan, where you run so many commercials each day at different times. You put this TAP program together and you do it right. When they get in the car on Monday, they hear your spot going to work. Tuesday, they may hear it at lunchtime. Thursday, they may hear it on their drive home. And what you hear is they run that commercial all the time. They must be spending an enormous amount of money. You can spend a third of the money and run this TAP program. And I guarantee you it's going to work. It's depending on what kind of business you have. A lot of times I like to take the business, find out about the business, find out where they need help. You know, if they're talking to me, typically they need help.
Yeah.
They don't, and I tell them all the time, you have to advertise, you just don't have to do it with me. I understand this. But I get into their business. I don't walk in with a package. If your advertising rep is walking in with a package that they're giving to everybody else, every company is unique.
And numbers. I heard somebody that walked into a business with numbers from what 19 or not. What would it be, like 2010 or 2009? Well, we cover these kind of things. Like that's not going to work. I want this year's numbers.
Oh, it's funny. If
It's
you live by the
volatile.
numbers, you die by the numbers in radio.
Right.
Arbitron. Because people are going to want to know how we know whether or not our radio station works. You're talking Arbitron. Arbitron drops books off in areas. Hopefully, at these days, you can get these people to fill books out. Depending on where those books are dropped, is depending on who listens to, I mean, if you drop these in a area that is typically country listeners, I don't want to say that all farmers listen to country music by any means, but there's a lot of them that do. Mm-hmm. So if you drop those books in those areas, then your country station's going to look great. If you talk to any radio station, they will tell you they're number one. Every radio station will tell you you're number one. We're number one. Ask them in what? Mm-hmm. Ask them what demographic they're number one in.
Yeah, everybody's got a target.
Yeah. So
Young or old
take
or
their
female.
demographic and figure out if it works for you. One of the first things I do with a business is say, I reach 25 to 54, primarily female. Will that work for your business?
And let's just throw this out there, because if you look at newspaper, that's a totally different demographic than
60
what you're
plus.
talking. Exactly. The generation that you're covering with radio, they don't read a newspaper.
No, they do not.
And a lot of people that read the newspaper are not listening to your radio station.
Absolutely. Well, we have an AM station they listen to, but as our FM station, absolutely. You can't, I'm not saying newspaper's bad. I'm not saying any of these other advertisers are bad. If you do it right and you track your advertising and you use different forms of advertising but keep a consistent message, it will work.
That's what we try to teach our students. What we're talking about here are different tools.
Mm-hmm.
Radio's a tool, newspaper's a tool, billboard's a tool, all tools in marketing to get those messages out.
And there's
to the
new
right people.
tools. I mean, every
You're
day
right.
you're
absolutely
getting
right.
hit. What is it now? How many times are you getting hit with advertising on a daily basis? It's like 600 times.
Yeah.
No matter where you turn around, you're getting hit with advertising.
Sure.
In
So-
mail or email.
Well,
Just-
and the new Bluetooth marketing that's coming across your telephone as
Yes.
you're driving in your car.
Yep.
I haven't seen that.
Well,
You haven't
it's
seen-
been out for a while. And
Some of the new billboard companies actually have radio towers on some of their billboards that actually will send out a pulse advertising through Bluetooth to your phones as you're passing a certain area. So they may be throwing an ad to you for McDonald's as you're nearing a McDonald's.
absolutely. Now, why they're fighting that is because you're not supposed to look at your phone while you're driving. So there are some issues that they're
Right.
fighting about that they're probably not going to be able to go. I think it's a great idea. One of the ways of tracking radio, and they came up with this 20 years ago, they could put little sensors on telephone poles. And all it does is pick up what radio station your radio is running. That's it. Well, the government said, no, can't do it. You can't do that because it infringes on your personal something or another. I don't understand it. I'm not
Maybe-
asking any personal information. That right there would be able to track radio stations very well, especially in a large market.
We have a car dealership in the area that I live at, and the very first thing when you bring your car in, the very first thing they do is they turn on the radio station and jot down what radio station a person listens to.
I had Brad Sang, who owns John Sang Ford in our town. Brad, when we switched the station over, and we bought the station, switched it over, and we hadn't had the station more than probably 2 or 3 months. Brad calls me up one day and said, Diddle, I need to sit down and talk to you. And I said, why? And he said, well, we've been checking radio stations. And I said, well, I know you do that, but Brad, you don't advertise with me, so there's two sides to this. If you advertise with the radio station and your advertising is working, then those people that listen to that station are going to come to your business. So when you tune in the radio station, they're going to be the top radio station, and you think, well, everybody listens to that radio station. No, that's the one you're advertising with, and it's working. They're bringing it. It's a good way to track your advertising. It's not a really good way to track who the number one station is in the market, unless you're advertising with all of them. Most car dealerships do that, though. So Brad calls me. And he said, I've never seen, ever, the turnover that we've had on radio stations before in my life. That people are switching over to your station. One of the reasons why that happened, and when you're buying advertising, I want you to take this in consideration too. Country stations are the number one, usually in every market. But there are more than one. One of the things I want you to ask, when you get a sales rep in, ask questions and find out about that station. In country music, why I didn't pick country music was because the number one thing they do when a commercial comes on is hit the button. Because they have 7 to pick from.
Oh, I see.
That's the number one thing they do. You got to look for a radio station like ours that's unique in the area. Nobody plays what we play. So when a commercial comes on, they can't turn it. It's called P1 listeners. Those listeners that listen every morning, every night, every drive home, they're listening to us. And let me give you a little bit more advice. In your business, you don't need 100,000 people walking through that door every day. You can't do it anyways. If you had that many, you can't do it. So I look at your business and say, what's each person worth? And you got to figure that out. If I bring If you're a restaurant and I bring one person in, how many times a week will that person come in? And I claim that, because without me, that person wouldn't have known about your business. When you're looking at
Would not
tracking,
have been encouraged.
not have been encouraged, yeah.
Yeah.
So when it comes to advertising, a lot of times you only need an extra 5 or 10 people a week coming in, depending on what your single ticket is, what your average sale is going to be. Car dealerships, one extra a week. If you're spending, $3 or $4 grand in advertising and you sell a used car, there's a good chance your advertising is taken care of with that one used car.
Understand?
It depends on what you're selling and how much you spend, but track it and look at where you're putting your advertising dollars.
We only have about 0 minutes.
We're out of time.
We're out of time. Dave, I want to thank you very much for
It was a really good conversation. I just lost track of the time. I wasn't watching.
Well, before we started this, Pat said that my job is to keep you talking, and I knew at that point that the issue is going to be shutting me up, not keeping me talking. So,
I really appreciate your wisdom. Thank you very much for coming.
thank you for inviting me.
And remember, just because we're off the television, we're still on the radio.
Yeah.
There you
Through
go.
the internet.
So, since we're on the radio, is there anything else you'd like to share to those that are going to be revisiting the radio?
Main thing is, remember, marketing works. No matter if you use radio, just track it. You have to do it. It's a necessary evil. You do, like I tell everybody, you don't have to do it with me, but you do have to market. And if you market, then you'll see your business grow, and you do it consistently. You don't do it month by month. You do it consistently. And when you do advertising, own the medium that you're on. If you're on radio, own the radio stations. If you're on internet, own the internet, and it will work.
No greater words of wisdom. Dave, we hope to hear more from you and with you as the months come on.
Thank you.
So
I
thank
appreciate
you.
it.
I'm Patrick.
I'm Jason.
I'm Mike. Thanks for
I'm-
watching.
And I'm Dave Diddle.
Yes.